Here we go. No Mercy, the game that introduced the phrase
diggity dog
into the national lexicon. The last of the THQ Aki quadrilogy, it was released on November 17, 2000. A lot of people think this is the peak of US gaming, and, well, they're right. Let's start with the engine, which remains intact with a few tweaks. First off, you can now do running grapples. Before, if you ran at an opponent, your only means of attack would be a strike, whether it was a clothesline, dropkick, what have you. And your opponent could be ready to block or reverse it accordingly. But now when you run at your foes, you have the option of hitting a running DDT, bulldog, or...
When we say it again, and we do the head scissors!
It not only introduces new moves into the game, it varies up the offense and adds a new level of strategy. You can also now tie opponents up in the Tree of Woe, actually introduced in WrestleMania 2000, or have your opponent slump against the rope, something I only ever did on accident. It's interesting that they made a ton of changes to the engine since World Tour, essentially all for the better, but they kept the core mechanics intact. You could start with World Tour and jump right to No Mercy and not have any problems. The roster is stacked. They added all the guys who were left out of Mania 2000. Kurt Angle, the Radicals, Rikishi, Taz, Dudleys. Speaking of the Dudleys, the year 2000 was the last great period for tag teams in the WWF, and it's reflected here. You have Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys, complete with a sweet 3D, APA, Too Cool, TNA, Head Cheese, Kai and Tai, and probably more if you want to throw in Right to Censor and the like. They made Kai and Tai share a character slot, with Taka getting 2 costumes and Funaki the other 2. The same thing happened to Dick Togo and Men's Teo in World Tour. Someone really had it out for Kai and Tai Deluxe. Graphically, the wrestlers look a lot sharper and more, well, human. The crowd looks great as well. In certain shots, you really get the feel you're in this huge arena. They did greatly cut back on entrances, however. You only see your wrestler coming out on the ramp, not getting into the ring. And they don't show the Titantrons playing in the background when you come out, which is disappointing. But they did add post-match celebrations for some wrestlers. The Rock poses on the turnbuckle. If you win a match with Too Cool or Rikishi, you see them do their dance routine for 10 minutes. Sounds and voice clips were greatly increased as well. There are a ton of wrestler voice clips in the opening movie, and the smooth pimp voice that guides you through the game.
exhibition.
And then there's the iconic game music, which I bet you have stuck in your head right now. You're welcome. Wrestlers still spoke in thought bubbles, and there was no in-game commentary, but no one expected that yet. There was a noticeable increase in brawling. You can now fight backstage in various settings, like the parking garage or boiler room. There's a table at ringside you can break. And most importantly, when you drop a weapon, it actually stays on the screen. Before, if you had a chair and got punched, you'd drop the chair and it would vanish. Nothing was more frustrating than finally getting your hands on a weapon, accidentally hitting the taunt button, dropping your weapon and seeing it vanish into the ether. Now you can just pick it up or leave it on the ground and slam your opponent onto it. Another change was an attempt to add realism in regards to size. In previous games, you could be Rey Mysterio and suplex the Giant all around the ring. Not very realistic. Of course, if you have it so larger wrestlers are immune to most of the moves, it takes a lot of fun out of the game. So THQ created a class of super heavyweight wrestlers, like Mark Henry and Viscera. Basically, you can still do moves like eye rakes to them, but your main offense will either be a greatly exaggerated body slam or back suplex. The funny thing is, slamming them isn't hard, it totally jacks up your spirit meter. Seriously, 2 body slams and you'll have a special, so being the super heavyweights is actually real easy. I remember facing Andre the Giant in championship mode, and just blitzing through him because I got special so easily. There are lots of new match types. You can have an Iron Man match with various time limits between 5 minutes and a full hour. There are now ladder matches too, they're pretty faithful. Grab a ladder from outside, set it up in the middle of the ring, climb and grab a contractor title belt. The best of these is a tag team ladder match, which is just completely insane. You can take a wrestler and be a special referee in a match between your friends, and fast or slow count accordingly. I imagine this feature caused roughly 10 million fistfights across the world, as you screw over your best friend just because you can. This is why most every wrestler's third outfit is the referee shirt. I think THQ somewhat overestimated the appeal of this feature. All the old features are still here too, but with some tweaks. You can still have King of the Ring, but now you can do things like all ladder or cage matches. Royal Rumble is here as well, now with a team option. If you and 3 friends play with 40 wrestlers, you can all select teams of 10, and if one of your wrestlers is eliminated, your next team member comes down, and the match goes until 3 teams are gone. You can also have lopsided teams, so maybe one player has 5, another has 7, a third has 10, and the last has 18. So it levels the playing field if some players have less experience. To give a sense of how deep this game is, I didn't even know this option was there until I went back and replayed it for this review. The Road to WrestleMania has been revamped into Championship mode. What you basically do is pick a title belt and you're injected into a few weeks worth of storylines. For example, I had won the European belt with Jeff Hardy and was feuding with Albert. During a match, Dean Malenko attacked me, so I chose Chris Jericho as a partner the next week for a tag match. I had one last defense against Albert, but Kurt Angle ran out and made it a three-way. It's not as in-depth as Road to WrestleMania, but really gives you the sense of being part of the WWF storylines at the time. What's interesting is that there are several paths you can take. Losing matches actually unlocks different paths to take so you can get 100% completion. You also earn money for victories. The other cash provider is Survival Mode, basically a 99-man Royal Rumble. You start with 3 other competitors and someone else comes out when there's an elimination, which can happen via pinfall, submission, or sending them to the floor. Not only do you get cash for eliminations, you can unlock a lot of hidden wrestlers this way. So what's the money for? Well, you can spend it at the
SmackDown Mall.
Here you can unlock moves for creator wrestlers, buy hidden wrestlers, or purchase things like alternate outfits, such as Triple H's old DX gear, or the Big Boss Man's old prison outfit. Tajiri's pants are in the game. Interesting, since he was in ECW at the time. Anyway, it really amps up the replay value as you try to buy everything in the store. Believe it or not, I actually have some nitpicks. First of all, I hated handicap matches in career mode. Totally crossed the line from good challenge to break your controller in anger. Your mileage may vary, but given the feedback we received on our Facebook page, I don't think I'm alone. Second, there can be some noticeable slowdown, especially when there are 4 wrestlers in the ring at the same time. I've heard that if you use an expansion pack or turn off the in-game music, it helps, but it is frustrating when the first 3 games ran so smoothly. Lastly, there's the dreaded No Mercy glitch. Early versions of the game would randomly erase all your saved data. Guess who had one of these games? This guy. I believe it happened when you took a creator wrestler through championship mode. That's what happened to me anyway. I tried to take my created Vader through championship mode, and whoosh, game erased, proving Vader and the WWF yielded no positive results at all. Still, out of the last 4 games we covered, No Mercy is clearly the best. The engine is at its peak, graphics were top-notch, and game mode and replayability were off the charts. So what happened? Why did THQ Aki stop making games? Well, I heard a lot of different rumors, including a planned sequel called Backlash that never materialized, as well as Aki developing WCW Mayhem 2 for the PlayStation 2, but WCW went out of business. Whatever the reason, THQ moved on with other companies, and the Aki engine did live on in other, well, unexpected franchises. But can you imagine this engine on later systems? They could have put back full entrances, had actual Titantrons, and introduced matches like Hell in a Cell. Would have made me buy a GameCube. Well, there's always modding, I guess. So, No Mercy is damn good, but it falls just short of being the best wrestling game ever, and that one's coming up in a bit. One last note, we're going to be starting one of those fancy Kickstarter thingies to raise some funds for the series. Basically, we're getting into games I don't personally own, like Nitro and Thunder, because they're horrible. There is emulation, but to get the full experience, it's better to play them on the system. Tom and I do these for free, so if you enjoy them, please consider kicking in $1 or $2, so I can snag these for cheap off eBay. All proceeds will only go to the series, as far as you know. Oh crap, I have to edit that out. Well anyway, till next time, thanks for watching, and remember, the winner is you.
Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog.